There are things on your website that are a waste of space, a waste of website real estate, and people are clicking away from your website because of them. And there are other things that you may not think are very important, but other people really care about them and are spending a lot of time on your website doing that. How do we know that? Because we have data across thousands of churches around the world, churches and charities, and how their websites are working in real time. And so this Word Made Digital tutorial is all about how to help you make your website more effective in 2023. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Word Made Digital Tutorials. I'm Joanne LaFleur, and in this Word Made Digital tutorial, we're talking to my friend Paul Cox. He's from The Church Co., and they build websites for churches and for charities around the world. Thousands of websites, and they might be the right connection for you, but more than that, they have data on how church websites and charity websites are actually being used in 2023. What is a waste of space? What you might not spend much time on, but probably should spend more time on your website, keeping it fresh and relevant. Why people are clicking away, why people are engaging, and hey, why people might even be connecting with a small group, prayer, a sermon resource, or donating, whatever it is. We want to talk about that in this conversation with Paul Cox. So thank you so much to the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities who are making this and this whole series of tutorials possible. We really couldn't do it without them. The Canadian Centre for Christian Charities is for ministry leaders who are focused on their mission, while the 4Cs, the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities, is helping focus on the methods of running a charity, which includes churches in Canada. There's a lot to think about with HR and donations and receipting and admin and government expectations, and they are like your friend around the corner, just a call, an email, a click away to support you in what you're doing in operating a well-run ministry in Canada and stewarding the amazing benefits of being a charity in Canada. So the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities is surprisingly affordable to be a member of. You may not realize that. And they have a ton of free resources as well. If you go to cccc.org/free, there's even a workshop there about how to make sure you're connected and in compliance, what it takes to be a charity in Canada. And so we can help you before problems even start. So we would love for you to check that out if you feel like you're new to charity and church in Canada, or you just need a refresher. All right, now we're going to dive into the conversation with my friend Paul Cox. We're talking about all things websites in 2023 using real data that they've compiled across thousands of church websites. Enjoy. Paul Cox, welcome back to Word Made Digital. I'm pumped to get like a fresh look with you at stats on church websites. So before we go farther, can you introduce yourself? Who are you?
For sure. Thanks for having me. So I'm Paul. I started The Church Co., which is a website platform for churches. The whole goal is that if churches have better websites, more people will attend their church. And the cool thing, after doing this for 5 years, is we have stats that show that that is true. We have, just real quick, like a person in New York got an 800% increase in traffic to their website after coming on to redesigning their website and coming onto our platform. So it's been really cool journey to just take these church websites, remodel them, make them great for a very affordable price, and just watch how that actually grows the kingdom, which is cool. It went from a theory to a reality, and that's been really fun journey for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's, really why I wanted to talk to you today is because you've looked at thousands of, I don't know the exact numbers, but we're talking about thousands of churches, millions of page views. And over the years, because of that, you have some amazing insight into what's working, what's not working, what's a waste of time or a waste of real estate on your website. So let's start there. What are, as you look at the data and you look at all these websites you're building, creating, serving people with, what are the top couple pages that everybody goes to on a church website? Like the ones that matter most?
For sure.
Maybe for views. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your homepage is always going to be number one because it's just the reality of people typing in the domain into Google or searching the words, and that's the first Google result. So your homepage is number one. And so I always kind of throw that one aside because that's a given. So what's interesting is the pages beyond that. So what's like the second most visited page? And a lot of times it's a page that people don't have on their website. But according to our data, it's the About page. So on websites that are using our platform, the About page is the most visited page that isn't the home page. And I think that's really interesting because it says a lot about the type of people that are visiting these pages, right? It's people that want to learn more about your church. It's people that are interested
Right.
in what you believe. They're interested in who your team are. They're interested in what you have to offer them so that they might attend your church. And a lot of times we see websites when we're in the building phase of moving them over to our platform that don't have an About page at all. Like they might have a pastor's bio page or what we believe page, but there's nothing like pulling those together into a quick summary that's like, this is everything about the church. And so that's one that I always just harp on. It's like, if you don't have an About page, it's like add an About page because that is what people statistically are looking for. Beyond that, it's a bit of a mix between 3 pages. It's a kids, sermon, and kind of like plan a visit. Plan a visit kind of falls into the homepage section for me because I feel like your homepage should be your plan a visit page. But those are kind of the ones that people are looking for after those. It makes sense. You want to know what to do if you got a family and you have kids,
Yeah, and what you're talking about is a reminder if people are hearing between the lines what you're saying. The website we're talking about, the data is communicating that these are new people on your website. If people have been part of your church for a long time, they probably don't need the About page or the Plan a Visit page. These are people having like first or second or third impressions of your church community. These are new people.
That's
and so
right.
with that in mind, you kind of talked about the homepage and you threw that away because of course everybody starts at the homepage or most people start at the homepage. So when you think of the homepage itself, maybe not from like a graphic design perspective, because there's lots of ways that pages can be designed, but do you feel like there's stuff that people want to put on their homepage that's honestly kind of like a waste of real estate, or it's too much, like you're doing too much of this? What would be something that you say, like, I know your homepage is important, but you probably don't need this, or maybe the opposite, like make sure you have a plan a visit section on your homepage? What would you say?
One of the things that we see that I feel like is a really common mistake and kind of hurts your search engine ranking is just the constant swapping out of information, or like swapping the main title for the current church event or the current church series or sermon that you're preaching. What you want to do is you want Google to kind of index this content and start serving it up. So you want to start thinking in like, how do I answer questions that people in my community are asking, and then formulate your homepage around those things. So the big ones that I see that are nice to have, but I would push this info down to the bottom of the homepage and not so much the top, are like a big sermon block that's kind of like, this is our current sermon. Your people that are already attending your church know where to go to find that or are subscribed to your podcast feed. So it's not that relevant for them. But for a new person that's taking up a ton of real estate and they're unlikely to watch a 40-minute sermon the first time they've visited your homepage. So I think maybe a better option for that would be condensing down to a video that stays on your homepage the entire year. That's like a real quick, like 1 or 2 minute, or even like 30 seconds. Like, this is who we are. This is what we do. And maybe like there's one point from a sermon in there. But if you think in terms of TikTok, like you've got a very short attention span to capture, and a 40-minute to an hour long sermon probably isn't the reason someone's coming to your homepage. So that's one mistake. The second that I see is still like the very top, the hero image being like a carousel. So it's very easy to think that that's how people are going to
Stop the carousel, people. Stop
It's been
the
10 years. We're
carousel.
still talking about it, but they're still there, unfortunately. There's better ways, all right? People are used to scrolling up and down. Take that information if you absolutely need it on your homepage and stack it so that it is like, this is coming up, this is coming up, this is coming up. Also, you'll notice I'm thinking in mobile right now. That's because our stats across all of our website views show that it's about 80% now adoption, or people are viewing the website on mobile. So I would be thinking about it in terms of someone is viewing this on their phone, and then go from there.
That's so good. The first place they're going to be looking at it, most likely based on the stats, is their phone. So think about mobile first before you think about how it looks on a nice big desktop browser screen.
For sure.
So maybe, I don't know if you have an answer to this, but is there a page you think should be eliminated? Maybe even just based on, not your opinion, maybe it's your opinion, but maybe it's the stats. Like you spend all this time, this is your favorite page, and like nobody goes there. 1% of people don't bother. What page would you say that is if you have one?
I mean, I said it was in the top 3, but if I was going to or the top four, because excluding the homepage. But I would still, and I've said this for years, and people love to hate it, and it's fair, but I still think the most amount of time people spend on their website is working on their sermon page, but it is not, in my opinion, the highest trafficked page that you could be working on, right? The sermon page indicates probably people that are already subscribed, and I think it's very important and you should have it. But if you had an hour to work on your website and you could either add a new sermon versus writing a new blog post, I would say write the new blog post, because you could already probably have uploaded your sermon to YouTube. So you could just attach your YouTube feed to your website and that information will still be there without you having to go in every day or every week and updating it. But the stats show, based on the time on site, which is a thing that's available to you to view in Google Analytics, that the average time on site is roughly like a minute or 2 minutes, which is actually high for websites in general. But it kind of indicates that people aren't really watching 30, 40-minute videos on their church's website. So if they're consuming that content, it might be through a podcast or through YouTube somewhere else. But that's the page I think that people spend a lot of effort on that doesn't really yield a great reward for new people.
All right. Well, maybe my last question for you is, how are people getting to websites? When you think of, are they typing, like when you look at the data, what is the ways that people are finding and getting to the website? Are they typing it in directly? Are they clicking on a link in an email? Is it from their Instagram account? How are people finding these websites? And therefore, how can we plan about how we spend our time getting people to our websites?
Yeah, for sure. I actually pulled some stats on this recently because I was doing a big year-end report. So at the end of 2022, we did a big report and we found that we had 11.4 million individual people. So not page views. This is actual people that visited church websites that are hosted on our platform last year. So the natural next question is, how do they find those churches? So I pulled some acquisition stats from Google Analytics, and the results are pretty fascinating because they're not what you would think. So the highest route that people come is through direct, right? This might be you texting a friend a link. It might be a church sending out an email that has, or a text message that has a link directly to the website end. So that's like your number one. Now, the number two, if I had to do a survey amongst every church communicator that I know, I think their number two guess would be social media. However, it's not. It's actually organic search, which is Google being all of those search engines that you might be searching. So
wow.
That actually accounts
organic
for
search.
Yeah, it accounts for 36.4% of those 11 million people. They found the websites through searching in Google. And we do big reports on this every Easter as well. And it's always like Easter is representative to me because that's when new people attend church. Like if it's the one Sunday they're going to go. And on Easter, it was about 40% that came through searching Google. Social media, of those 11 million people, only accounted for 9.6% of the traffic. So the thing that I see is I feel like as church communicators, we always are looking to post and get engagement on social media and all of these things. And I think it's really good for cultivating your relationship with your existing members. But the stats here show clearly that when a new person is looking to attend a church, maybe they've moved, maybe they're visiting, they're doing that search in Google Maps or Google the search engine. So if I had to invest time if I had to pick and I could only do one, which thankfully is not the case, I would write a new blog post over posting a new Instagram story, because that blog post accrues over time, right? And if you're answering the questions that your community is asking, Google's going to respect that, and they're going to start serving your church's website up as answers to the questions that your community is asking. And that's how you engage with new people, right? That's how you digitally go out and reach new people. Yeah, it's really interesting.
So that might, like when you're talking about blog posts, that's stuff thinking about what people in your community are Googling, like 5 ways to celebrate Easter in this city, or I don't know, what are our favorite burger places in town, or
I love that one actually.
3 ways to avoid divorce, or whatever it is.
It is so questions like that. I think there's the fun ones, like you said, right? Like Pastor Tom's 5 picks for after Sunday cafes or after Sunday lunch. after church lunch, right? Those are great. You'll make great friends with people in your community because you're giving backlinks to the local businesses, which is great for them. There's other ones, like you said, that maybe are just landing pages. It's like, I'm looking for after school programs for my kids in enter a city name, right? So then you can write a page. It's like youth programs for kids in and enter your city. And maybe the youth programs are just that you meet on Wednesday night and you have like a youth group. But if you start to think in terms of that, like you're now offering services to people that maybe aren't yet Christians or don't know about your church. And then another one is just like all the marriage topics for sure. Like if you're offering counseling service, if you're offering like services for recently divorced people, there's tons of content that can be written. And you start to put your church as a solution to the problems, and not the problems, but just like the things that people are searching for in your community. And that's how you have your first interaction, right? From that point forward, it's up to you as a church to pastor and bring those people in.
So good. So maybe as a bonus question, because I said it would be my last question, in short, like, why do you care about this? Why does the Church Co. build websites for churches? I mean, you could build websites for plumbers and 1,000 other things. I guess you maybe would if they showed up at your door. But why are you so focused on churches? What is it that you think matters about websites for churches?
I think the church website is often an afterthought for every church. And it's almost never, hey, we've got this qualified web designer. It's usually like, Johnny's been in the youth group and he built a Squarespace site. So sure, good enough. But the problem I see with that, and no offense to Johnny, he crushes it. But when you actually put time and thought into the content that goes into these pages and the design, and you use standard practices that people are used to doing every day, like I said, like scrolling this way instead of waiting for a carousel, we actually see results, right? And our goal is that, what's in your hand. For us, it's websites. So that's how we can populate the kingdom, how we can bring people into your church so that you can hopefully, introduce them to Jesus. We care about the Great Commission. And for us, we're using websites to do that. We just realized early that, people were paying thousands of dollars and getting kind of a subpar website. And we just thought, there's got to be a better solution for this. So we just came in and said, it's $29 a month, which is the same as hosting. It's the same as a good like WordPress host. And our team, which are pretty qualified, having built thousands of websites, will build the website for you at no additional cost. And so we've been able to work with thousands of churches and take them through that process. And it's really great to see the results now and the stories coming back. It's like, we had this family come in and they said that they found us through searching Google, or they found us through the church website. And it's like, great. Like that's why we're doing it. I'm not a preacher. I'm a coder. So I'm going to use the code to kind of fulfill the Great Commission in any way that I can.
Paul, thank you. Thanks for this insight. Thanks for what you're doing. I really believe in what you're doing because, as you said, it's like, how do we make excellent websites? They do matter. They shouldn't be an afterthought. And how do we do it in a way that churches can afford? So I'm excited to see how you serve, how your team is doing it with such excellence. So thanks. Thanks for taking some time today.
For sure. Thanks for having me again.
Thank you so much to Paul, and thank you so much to the Church Co., and thank you so much to the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities for making this tutorial possible. We wouldn't be able to do it and bring it to you without them. And if you haven't already, click on the link in the show notes. Check it out, cccc.org/free. Tons of free resources there for you. And also, membership is super affordable, and it might be just what you need in 2023 to accelerate what you're doing in your ministry. We've got a whole back catalog of these tutorials at Word Made Digital. We would love to equip you, whether you're looking at social media and websites, or you're thinking about graphic design and working with creatives, how to talk to them. Maybe you're trying to figure out what are the best ways to resource your budget this year. You're trying to work with a boss who might be difficult. We have all kinds of resources for you all around church and charity communications, how to help you be more expert at it in this challenging world. I mean, the world is full of digital content, and yet what the church, that is Christian organizations, are doing is more important now than ever to get these messages clearly across. We want to help you be the best communicators in the world because you have the most important thing to talk about. So thanks so much for watching these tutorials. Subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll see you on the next one.